What is going on, y'all? What's good? Episode 331 of the Past BT here. I am your host, BT. I have a special guest on the show. I will introduce her in just a moment. We have done a pre-pod conversation as well as an added pre-pod conversation. We'll go over all that in just a bit. Wealth of knowledge, wealth of information, and I'll let her introduce herself in just a moment. Since she's a guest and she's probably the first guest that I'm having on to introduce an angel number, because usually when I have guests, I just go right into conversation, because she's going to be talking about one of these references, as the title states, numbers. I always like to give people the angel number of the episode, and I'm not sure if my guest uses this source, but this is a source I've used for the podcast probably at least 100 episodes, if not more, for sun signs. I go to their angel number. And of course, the angel number is going to reference the episode number, which is 331. Significance and meaning of angel number 331. You would never think that numbers have a way of changing the course of our lives. They may appear ordinary to us, but the symbolism in numbers plays a significant role in our lives, in our day-to-day activities, as well as plans for today and the future. You may take lightly the fact that number 331 keeps popping up almost everywhere you go. Angel number 331 has an important role. That is why it appears almost everywhere you are. The angel number 331 is sending you several messages: forgiveness and letting go of the past. A new opportunity for you to forge ahead and do things right is on the cards. And in all of this, you have all the support you need from your guardian angels. For the angel number 331 spiritual meaning, feeling bitter or having regrets is normal, but you should not allow such feelings to guide your actions. It would be excellent to accept that anger, bitterness, and resentment will do more harm than good for you. Thus, please learn to let go of bitterness and avoid thoughts of vengeance to better your life now and in the coming days. The 331 angel number urges you to pray to God to ease any obsession with bitterness. Your angel encourages you to focus your focus on angry feelings because they will interrupt your peace and productivity. Normally I wouldn't do this, but I'm going to do something different. Your angel encourages you to focus your focus on angry feelings because they will interrupt your peace and productivity. Go to that in a moment. Moreover, you need to maintain a more active spiritual life to access divine support and healing. Based on its symbolic meaning, if you see it everywhere, it would be brilliant to avoid recounting those embarrassing moments to boost your mental, physical, and emotional well-being. Indeed, if you hold on to negative thoughts, they may trap you and prevent you from achieving your dreams and life goals. The 331 symbolism reminds you to contact trusted friends or your loved ones and share your frustrations with them. They will encourage you to release grudges and to learn healthy ways to forgive yourself and others. Also, avoid visiting places that remind you of ugly situations, especially if the sound is still fresh. Some things that you should know, some facts or things that you should know about 331. More messages of love and hope and facts about 331 are in angel numbers 3, 1, 33, and 31 meanings. Don't hold on to anger or hurt or pain from the past. Instead of building you up, they break you down and fill you up with bitterness and negative energy. The message from your angel number 331 is for you to let go of the hurt from the past by forgiving the wrongs done to you. It may not be easy because of the feelings of betrayal and hurt from a close friend or relative, but it is the easiest way for you to move on with your life peacefully. Angel number 3 shows you that when you bring baggage from the past into your present, you become stagnant, and any progress you wanted to make in the future becomes difficult to achieve. Its meaning, just a little bit more of that, is angel number 33 appears in angel number 331, indicating flexibility, adaptability, fearlessness, happiness, and new opportunities. Number 1 indicates new dawn and opportunity to do things the right way, letting go of the past and things that did not grow you, and forging ahead with self-development and growth. This is an opportunity to make things right. If you did wrong to anyone, and if anyone wronged you, make peace with them. Courage is one thing that many of us have, but we fear practicing it. Courage is one thing that many of us have, but we fear practicing it. It takes bravery to let go of things that they were used to and venture into the unknown. The message from your angel number 331 is for you to let go of the hurt from the past and by forgiving the wrongs done to you. If you don't try, you will never know how it would have been. In summary or in conclusion, these unique digits will keep you more motivated and focused. Angel number 331 says that you need to be fair to yourself by letting go of bitterness or regrets to living a more fulfilling life. Good foundation to start off this show. As I said, I have my guest. We did promise, and I did promise that I was going to be a man of my word. We're going to do something a little unorthodox, but as y'all know, creatives are going to create. So we're going to take a couple deep breaths, and then we're going to have a smooth flow into an awesome show. So we're going to breathe in, breathe out. We're going to breathe in. We're going to breathe out. One more time. Breathe in. And finally breathe out. And no cap, starting off, I didn't meditate this morning, so I needed that. Yes. So, as I said, I do have my guest. And as I told her from our initial breakdown, I'm going to let her introduce herself. And then we're going to go from there.
Hello, this is Amanda Love. Also, Amanda Lovelocks. If you know me, that may be the name that you know me by. I'm of the Soul Connection. And the Soul Connection is an organization to help you move forward spiritually. It's self-development and self-growth. So that's who I am. And thank you for having me today.
She gave the mouth introduction. I knew she was going to do it. She's a numbers addict. Oh, yeah. She is a very, very positive spirit online. She doesn't claim it, but she's a creative. And we connected on a very unique 2%, as I like to call it. Social media, you run across people and it's like, all right, this is a connection. We're gonna rock it out. We have mutual friends, a couple of mutual friends actually. We both know. I'm a friend of mine who was actually on the show, I believe the year before, Maisha. I'll tag that episode. But also, I have a friend of mine, Sophia, who's a entrepreneur, and she's also an entrepreneur. And in the process of meeting them and learning I was an entrepreneur, that's kind of how our connections how we cross paths. And then she's done a couple of Instagram live videos, which then translated to us having offline conversations. And I believe it was before we did meditation in the park, which by the way was amazing. She was able to share with my life path numbers that kind of got it into like a really strong breakdown of, okay, I need to really understand this. So yeah, just that's kind of the free fall freestyle of everything.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. So to do the mental check-in, because people don't do that very often. How's your mental? How you feel physically? How's your body check-in? Like
me?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So mentally, I think I'm in a good space mentally. It's been a long while, but I do build up anxiety. That's something that I fight. At least, every day. Okay. Every day is something that I fight because I used to take medication for anxiety. But the beginning of the year, I just dumped all my medicine into the dumpster.
Nice.
And I was like, this is it, I'm gonna fight this.
Okay.
And so that's when I have to meditate even more or meditate longer to feel that peace. And that's what meditation does help with anxiety. Okay. So in physical health, funny you should say that because I'm in a lot of pain today. Right. But the reason why I'm in pain is because I keep pushing myself. So about a year ago, and a little bit before then, I was walking with a cane. Mm-hmm. And so now I fight to not walk with the cane as well. Right. And growing physically. And when I was telling you guys before, I've lost a lot of weight, at least 60 pounds. And the doctors want me to have surgery, but I'm kind of, I don't know if I want to. I believe that my body can heal on its own. Right. And I might be foolish to think that, but that is what I visualize. Yeah. So as far as pain goes, I went to the beach earlier this week, and I'm rambling on, but I went to the beach.
Good. I told you. We talked about this before the show. As you continue, they do not need to hear me. They've heard me 300 plus episodes. They want to know who my guest is.
All right. Well, I went to the beach earlier this week with some girlfriends of mine, and I did a lot of walking. I did a lot of walking with a lot of items, and I knew I was going to pay for it. And yeah, I had fun at the beach, but Tuesday morning when I woke up, there it was. The pain was there. So I'm grateful to be here. I'm grateful to have carried this big pocketbook and my briefcase in here with me because the amount of pain that I've been in lately, that's just a miracle within itself. Right. So physically, I'm doing so-so, but I'm going to push through it.
I got you.
Okay. Yeah. Emotionally, I'm great.
Good. All right. That's what I like. I like to hear that. That's good. Like I said, it's not often, and this is something that I personally am learning to do better. Check-ins, because we don't do check-ins, and I'm guilty because I've turned into a podcast addict, as you've heard me say. It's a podcast I listen to, I Am Athlete, and it's a group of guys, and they have genuine conversations with men like, hey, how's your mental, where you at mentally, physically, financially, personally. So it's like, it's the same thing when we have like just those regular check-ins of like, yeah, life is moving, but when it's that moment of just sitting and breathing, like, where are you at? Like, are you good? Are you hurt? And it's okay to say, hey, I'm hurting. Right. This is a random ramble for me real quick. I introduced a couple of my friends to a new way. When people say, how are you doing? I'm fine. I'm good. Everything's all right. But deep down, something's going on. Right. So I presented an uncomfortable way to make people express how they feel. There's and I'm going to share the link for that. It is a link called, it's called the Feelings Wheel. Okay. It's an app that's out. A lot of people use it, Calm, and it's a very relaxing app. A friend of mine introduced me to it. I tried it for a little bit, but it basically, they introduced the wheel, and it's kind of like inside to out. I think I might have did a video about it because I started to do random TikToks, but I did a video where it explains like the 5 main emotions, and it'll expand out of those emotions like different words. So I'll tell everybody, if you're looking at the wheel, you got to pick 2 emotions. Okay. They can be in the same quadrant, doesn't matter, but you got to pick 2 actual words. Okay. So it could be something like frustrated, worried, tired. It's so many words. So it's not like you're not put in the box of, I'm good. Right. I'm all right. Everything's fine. It's like, no, it's not. If it's not fine, it's all right to say it's not fine. So like I said, we had like a back and forth. Well, not a back and forth, but we were making sure we were on a solid foundation with where we were going to start our conversation for the podcast. So I will be lightly leading because for the first time, a lot of people are probably not going to be surprised. I don't have outlines. Normally I got a whole list of, we're going to talk about this and we're going to get into this. And I'm just like, numbers, Bible, and crystals. Yes, I love it. So that kind of, because I want to make sure that is kind of like the scope of where we're going to go with the conversation. I'll start in the light side first, and then we'll get into the heavy hits as we go through. Okay. Explain your story with numbers. Okay. And that's, you got, like I said, open floor. It's no limitation because I want people to understand, to not go too far ahead of you. A lot of folks know with me, they would see, why is he always putting 1111? Why is he always putting 904? For a while, it was 151. For a minute, it was 5. And I still do 521 for my dad's birthday. Okay. But certain numbers, we see them for a reason. Right. And it's a sign. And I don't want people to think, oh, you're crazy, oh, you're weird. Like, it's purposes and reasons behind it. So
absolutely. But a lot of people think I'm crazy and weird. And that's just something that I accepted, right? But my numbers, I've always loved numbers. Mm-hmm. Just even, and I had to think about this, even back when I was younger, math is like my ultimate favorite subject. I worked for the telephone company for 11 years, and I took an early retirement before I started doing locks.
Yeah.
So numbers and me have always had a great relationship. But in 2017, when I was in a really, really, really dark place, I guess God was like, my angels and God was like, okay, no more for you.
Right.
They was, every time something traumatic or really bad would happen, I would see the same number, 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
And it may have been different versions of 1, 2, 3. Sometimes it came in 2, 1, 3 or 3, 2, 1, which I have, and I told you I have tatted on my arm.
Right.
I also, one of my good friends who passed, his birthday was 10/23. And like, I was just like, what is up with this number? And the last straw is something really, really traumatic that happened. And the person texted me, he wound up going to jail, but he texted me at 1:23 that afternoon. And then in the wee hours of the morning is when he got pulled over and got caught and was sent to jail. And it was one of my clients.
Right.
And he did something horrific. But anyway.
Yeah.
So when that happened the next morning when I woke up, I was like, what is going on with these numbers? And I had somebody called me to get their hair done. They wanted their locks done.
Right.
And so, and I saw that she, practiced tarot and things of that nature. So I said, man, forget about your hair. I need to know
Right.
what happened to my friend, 1 and 2, why I keep seeing these numbers. And then she told me to go to angel numbers and pull up angel numbers. And I started pulling up angel numbers and getting the messages and just kept on. And she told me to meditate as well. So I was looking at angel numbers and I started meditating, and I noticed the numbers would change after meditating. Like, okay, you got this part. And 1, 2, 3 is progress, actually. 1, 2, 3 is the beginning. 1 is always the beginning.
Right.
Like your episode 331 today, which I want to talk about
in
a second. All right, but 1, 2, 3.
Okay. All right, y'all. Sorry about that. Yeah, I had a little quick incognito of just meeting of the minds. 2%. You never know who you go see at what point. But I'm gonna let Amanda continue her story.
Okay, so 1, 2, 3 is a number of progress, as I mentioned, and it's like do something different. 1 always mean new, and 2 is a nurturing number. It means peace. It means harmony, and 3 is creativity.
Right.
And so 1 is actually the number of the father, 2 is the number of the mother, and 3 is the number of the child. So it's definitely like get out of that situation. You need to do something new. You are bigger than this. Progress. You need to make progress now. Like whatever you were put on this earth to do at that time, of course, it was far, of my knowledge and knowing what it is that I was supposed to be doing. But it's like, okay, time is not, time's not waiting for you anymore. You better come out. Yeah, time is of the essence. You better get it going. So once I started meditating, I started noticing the difference in the numbers and how they change. I started seeing all the 1s and the 2s and the 3s and definitely the 4. And what I love about 4 is that that's the number of protection. You know that you are supported and protected by the angels. You're protected by God. And in that head space, in that mental space, I should say, I feel like I can do anything when I know that they're around me and surrounding me and protecting me.
That explains why Jay-Z named that album that.
Yes.
So protected. Okay. I never, because I understood it, but I didn't understand it because it was just like, okay, it's Jay-Z. No one really cared anything. Okay, it's Jay-Z. Not, let's put the context of like how it's broken down. Because I think one of the songs did last 4 minutes and 44 seconds. To reel back, because I know you'd mentioned it right before we had the brief interlude. You'd said you were going to want to give feedback about the 331 reference.
Oh, yeah. So first of all, your life path number. Are you okay with people?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're 33-6. So, that 33 is very significant in your own life.
Right.
But 33 also represents ascended masters. And Jesus, as we know, is an ascended master. So 33 also resonate with Jesus.
Right.
30, it's all... And when you learn spirituality and your own spirituality, not just necessarily what the church teach you, and I'm gonna tread lightly on that right now. Yeah. But it's more ascended masters than Jesus, right? Because Moses is an ascended master, and Buddha is an ascended master. So 33 means that the ascended masters, the ascending master surrounding you as well. So that's also a good number. 1 is to start something new. 3 is also the number of creativity. And it has that child energy. And so the double 3. And it's also the number of sensitivity. So you're sensitive, or, our sensitivity should lead us to create as opposed to being bitter and angry and mad. And I love the message that came with letting go, because we just had a new moon yesterday. And, every moon phase means something different. But going into what is new, it said a new dawn. So 331 also said, talked about a new day. I have a poem talking about that. But anyway, 331.
No, talk about it. No, time out. Whoa. Let me be a mic real quick. Let me use my rapper hands. I don't even care if I'm in this library. What you gonna do is tell these stories and drop these gems, because somebody needs to know about. Because if it's a poem that you're open to sharing, this is the space for it. We are gonna let it rock. While you were preparing that, I'm going to go ahead and freestyle a little bit, because it's an interesting conversation of me learning. Because I did some random assessments a while back. I did the personality test. I did the Enneagram test. I learned what my life path number was, and I think I knew about it before we had talked about it, but then I was really getting into it, and I was like, okay, what does this mean? Help me. And he was like, all right, here's the document. I was like, and then talked to me for a couple of days after that. I don't know if you remember that. Not intentionally. It was just like, this is a lot, and it's good. I need to because I am guilty of the assessing. I'm the mental person who's like, break this down, figure it out. And for some reason, since the second half of 2021, my lesson has been, stop trying to spend as much time thinking about it, spend more time working on it. And it's an interesting thing, because I have a book that me and this book have been fighting each other that I need to read it, called The 4 Disciplines of Execution. I also told you about this as well. I have bought a book that is sitting at the top of my stack that is waiting to be read, called Numerology. It's white cover with the orange letters.
Okay.
If I show you a picture of it, you'll be like, oh, that book. Yeah, because like a friend of mine, she told me about it. I was like, all right, I'm gonna buy it. And I just went to like Barnes and Noble. And when you're in stores, it's, as a person who reads books but trying to find a book, I've learned that I'm that person that's like, when I get to the store, I'd rather just have it there ready for me, instead of like I gotta go through and find it. Because finding stuff, it's almost like being in any type of library. You're like, I don't know what order y'all put these books in, so I'm just looking everywhere. But anyway, the guy, when he asked me like what book I was looking for, and he found it, and I was like, all right, cool. Got the book. Me and the book been looking at each other. I didn't realize it came with it had its own bookmark. But the other part I'll share too is, when you brought up the part about being like able to see and project. I'm one of those ones. I'm very cautious with the words and manifesting, only because I know sometimes people will hear things or they say things, and it's like, if I say this, it's a strong chance it might happen. True. And I've had to explain, because I was telling someone the other day, like they came to me, and they won't, even if they hear it, it's not gonna be a big thing because I'm not putting it personal. But I was like, they came to me, they asked for advice. I gave the advice. It led to a minimal amount of tension, but the tension wasn't to me. It was the tension to, it wasn't the time that I was prepared to hear it. And I presented it very clearly in saying, I'm giving you the response, but I also went back to, keep in mind, you asked for the advice. Right. So I gave you the disclaimer from the beginning. Right. Most people who know you well enough, when you're giving advice or giving information, I'm giving it from an authentic place. I'm not giving it just to be giving it. Right. So that was all. Right. All right.
Yeah. So no advice. No, it's funny because people will ask, and what bothers me is when somebody asks me for advice and I give them my true, authentic, like you said, my true feelings about it, and then they get upset and they come and attack me. I've had that happen a lot. They come and attack me. So I will, back that up by saying, don't ask for advice if you don't want it.
There's our early pastor message.
Right.
Yeah, but no, it's a real thing. Like sometimes we want to hear it, but we're not ready to receive it.
Absolutely.
And that's one of the things, like, the benefit, and I'll talk about this because I know you. I did say you're going to do the poem, so I don't want to forget that. But it's a valuable thing that my roommate, she's been on the show, Fred. I think she's going to be on the show next week because we're doing an event out of town, and that's going to be amazing. Cool. It's called BlurredCon, so it's Black nerds.
Okay.
And it's like a gaming and like a mixed convention, so I'm looking forward to that.
Okay.
But her and I have had conversations like on different things, and the one thing that she's brought to my attention was a plethora of things, but the big part of it is whenever we talk to people. I want to make sure I get these numbers right. It's about 100 to 125 words a minute we say without knowing it. Because some of us, when we naturally are talking, we're going.
Right.
So then I got to get this over to you. And out of those 100 some words, you might get 25. So you got about a fourth of what I said.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So then you're trying to regurgitate it back. And some people can respond and they make it a good conversation. And some people, it's like they listen to you, but they didn't listen. Like, it goes back to the convo we had off air a few days ago. When you're talking to someone, talking to them and them actually listening to you versus them talking to you with like doing something else, you're going to get a whole different environment of a conversation.
Absolutely. And
that goes to the other part of it, which is there are people who listen to respond and there are people who listen to understand. When you learn how to understand, it becomes a whole different process. And that's why I personally, in doing the podcast, I've learned that, especially with having guests on. Yeah, I'm gonna be fidgety and I'm gonna do little stuff here and there, but I get tuned in because I want to make sure I get not just, okay, you said this and we're gonna whiz past it. It's like, no. Let's go back to that. Like, let's really put this all on the table.
Yeah, that's great because it is a difference between listening. It's actually four, if I learned this correctly, 4 different type of listenings, and I'm not gonna even try to break those down because I don't remember, but just being present, active listening, active listening. That's it. You know, being present and understanding and hearing things that people don't say. Yeah, that's the biggest, and that's a part of being a coach is learning to hear what people don't say because people aren't self-aware. People aren't aware of even our own self. So sometimes when you have a bigger perspective or you have I'm going to say you're able to perceive things on a more spiritual level, you're able to hear and see what they're not mentioning. Right. You know, and that can be difficult when you're dealing with people because when they're not aware of something that you know that they have going on, then to address it or to not address it. It's about getting those people to talk about it without offending them or sounding condescending. Yeah. All right, then again, I got all off the topic.
No, you good. I mean, like I said, I threw that out there. That's like I said, that's what this type of podcast is gonna be. It's not like we have these organized topics right now. I've been doing this too, and it's not. And let me not say I've been doing this too long. I've been doing this good enough now where I've learned to make it more fluid and more free flowing without feeling like we're gonna box ourselves into these minimal thoughts and ideas. If we veer left, we veer left. As long as it comes back to the main hit of what it's about.
Absolutely.
So you had, like I said, you had a poem you were gonna mention. Okay. We'll flip. We're gonna do some more number talk, and then we'll go into our other pieces.
And so what made me think of this poem is about the new day, right? And so this poem is entitled History. I may change it because I have not. This is the first time I will recite this poem. My bad. All right. Exclusive
premium content, y'all. Just put it out there. All right, go ahead.
Okay. Why is American history made up of so many lies? For years I have been searching for the truth in disguise. I know what I don't know is what I should know that's real. I know what I don't understand in my brain, but my heart can feel. I understand that my perception has been distorted by manipulation. I know that all of my ancestors' powers were oppressed by segregation. But what does that mean for us now? How do we go on from here? My brothers and sisters running around reckless because we live in fear. But what does that mean for us now? What do we do and how do we survive? What would those before us and my ancestors do if they were still alive? If only my brothers and sisters knew that royalty ran through our blood. If only my brothers and sisters would unite, we can lift ourselves from the mud. The mud that was thrown on us and kept us feeling betrayed, hurt, and pain. The mud that was thrown on us, but the dirt was washed away with the rain. The sun came up and dried us to a new day that dawns. The meek we were, but we are no longer the enemy's pawns. We are the light, the truth, and all that God had made us to be. We are inherited abundance stripped from us through Americans' history.
If I had my audio, if I could get away with using my soundboard, I'd have did an applause snippet. But we're in a library. I want to be respectful.
Yeah.
I want to make sure I come. 2% story. Well, I'll share this real quick. I did a podcast like this. I had a friend of mine come on. Met him through going to school. We were in this room right across from us, which if you're not familiar, any of you who've never been to the library here, it's a newer library. And they have 4 rooms that are like right beside each other, but it's a very quiet area. So the guy we were going into the park and he said something and it was so loud. And I was like, if I get kicked out because of this one statement, I swear I don't know what to do. But no, that was an amazing poem. That's a solid message. So if y'all have time, go back and loop that and get some, because there were definitely some messages that were addressed in there. If you're okay with sharing yours, what's your life path number?
I am a 1.
Okay.
I'm a life path 1.
Okay.
To be more specific, I'm a 2810.
Okay.
So the way that we do our life path numbers is...
Oh, yeah, that's right. I'm sorry. That might help.
Oh,
context.
yeah.
That horrible crying, you should know, give context. No, my bad. But yes, let's give the listeners context of understanding how the life path number becomes a thing. Because some people have heard people say this, but they don't know how you come up with that number.
Okay, so the way that you come up with your life path number is to calculate your birthday, your whole entire birthday,
right?
Your month, your day, and your year, using the 4 digits, not just the last 2.
Yep.
Some people use the last 2 and they get mixed up. So, for an example, if you were born on January the 1st, 2000, then you would add the 1, and the 2. You're a life path 4,
right?
And so forth and so on, and that's how. So in that case, 4 is very. That's just basic. You're a life path 4, and of course you would have to be born in 2000 and get a single number right away, just like that.
Right.
But before the year of 2000, when you calculate your life path number, it may. Like mine, for example, I'm just going to go ahead and get my birthday. My birthday is April the 2nd, 1975.
Okay.
And when you add those numbers up, it comes to be 28.
Okay.
And then you add the 2 and the 8, and that's when you get the 10. And so my life path number is 10 technically, but you have to incorporate the 2 and the 8 to understand how you reach the 10. Just like you had to incorporate it mathematically, you have to actually go through the lessons of 2 and 8 in order to actually do the 10 in a great way.
Gotcha.
In a positive way, I should say.
Okay.
So my life path number is 1, and 1 is the father, 1 is also the leader, 1 is also the creator, 1 the initiator, a risk taker, and on the negative side, we could be egotistical, boastful, stubborn, and pessimistic, which we all could be pessimistic.
Taurus, right?
No, I'm actually an Aries.
Aries, okay, got it.
Yeah.
Right. I'm thinking, my bad. I'm too far ahead because I'm thinking late April is Taurus. All right, my bad.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So April 2nd. So and it's so funny because I just in the last couple of weeks found out that my dad and I have the exact same life path number. So now I'm actually working on trying to understand the difference between parents and their kids, and because the same thing, when we talk about genes and what run in the family, like, wow, to find out that my dad and I share the same life path number is simply amazing to me. And then my brother has also the same life path number. So the 3 of us have the same life path number. Now, he's a 2810, my dad is. My brother's a 3710, and it's a difference.
Right.
So when you talk about life path number, you just know that you're a 1 or a 2 or a 3. Like I said, those numbers ahead, the way that you were able to reduce it to that single digit is very, very important.
Right. Yeah, that is true. Yeah. Because I think, I don't know if I might be freestyling because I know, like I said, mine's is 33.6.
Right.
I I think I've openly shared mine because I was telling somebody this yesterday and they were mind blown when I was like, yeah, my birthday is the same day as Beyonce. He was like, are you for real? I was like, yes, it's the same. And it doesn't have a thrill to me only because I've never met Beyonce and I don't carry that Beyonce persona personally, but I digress. But she's a year older. So for me, it's 9/4/1982. Okay. So when I broke it down, I'm trying to remember because I know it's like 9/4/13 and then 10, 18, 20. 20, 13, 33. Right. And then when you add the threes together, then you come up with the 6.
But see, 33 is a master number.
Yeah.
And that's, again, the number that resonate with ascended masters. 33 also the number that resonate with Jesus. So I don't want you to undermine that 33. Yeah, even though you're a 6 on the lower plane, you are really a 33, and that's a master number. And most master numbers meant that in your past lives, and people don't, know and understand that, but in your past lives, you've mastered all the other numbers. 33 is the highest master number.
Right.
So, yeah.
2%. Literally the more you know.
Yeah.
So then we got, let's see, one thing, what other random, not even say random, but, and this is just on a unique question because it just popped in my head. When you told people their numbers or their life paths, did they react? How did they react to it?
Oh man. So let me tell you about 7s. I'm gonna tell you about 7s. And I noticed this for every 7. They don't never want to, 7s don't want to hear no more. They like, stop. Okay, you just said enough. So, and it's crazy because 7s is a highly spiritual number. So, but 7s is also a number of trust. They have to learn to be able to trust people through being open themselves. So, but any other life path that I told that number to, they're just amazed and like, wow, how do you know me? How do you know these things happen? Especially when you talk about your early childhood and what may have happened. For an example, DMX, and I always refer back to DMX because my son and DMX and Barack Obama and Michelle Obama all have the same life path number, and that's life path 11, which is another master number. Okay. The thing about the life path 11, they have that dark, and they said the devil and the angel on our shoulders. They always feel like they have the devil right here, the angel right here, and so they always have a decision to make, and it's a struggle for them. Right. Everything that they do is a struggle. So that's why when you talk about DMX and his music, he talked to the devil in some of his music. Yeah. And then as he gotten older, he started talking about God a lot. Yeah. But he had to go through the dark in order to find a light, which is all of our path, really. However, he was more verbal and, more transparent about that. So one thing that I noticed about 1129s, and that's what DMX is, was actually 2911. I said that backwards, is that they typically were sent away early in life to go live somewhere else. And that's true for DMX. He went into a juvenile system of some sort. Right. That's true for Barack Obama. He went on to live with his grandparents. That's true for my son. I sent him to VSDB, which is Virginia School for Deaf and Blind, because he's deaf. Yeah. And so, like, those type things, when I run across a person who have the life path 2911, I always ask them, you didn't stay at home when you were, younger, did you? You were sent away, right? Yeah. And they're like, how do you know? So that's the part that's pretty amazing to me.
So it's like an inadvertent assessment, and it's a challenge of a conversation because some people will automatically, and this is me assuming, some people, when you go over this information with them, they're like, I don't believe all that stuff. It ain't real. And it doesn't matter even if you are accurate in presenting it to them. It's just some people, I've noticed the last few years, astrology, horoscopes, numbers, it's all, to some people, just a blur. They don't trust it. They think it's just smoke and mirrors. And I'm like, I get that, but you were born into the world at a certain point, like, and where I know I'm not jumping the gun or going into the Bible part, but it's a key thing of saying it as, we're born, everything, to everything on this earth, born, and I'm freestyling a little bit, but it's mainly the breakdown of you were born into the world, you have a purpose of being here, and you finding or figuring out your purpose. And I think that's the one thing I've seen personally for the last few months is people are figuring out their purpose and still figuring it out even after they figured it out.
Yeah.
So it's unique when you're watching people in, like, I even have folks who are in their personal transitions of growth, and it's like, so this type of growth is acceptable, but addressing this type of growth, it's a problem. Like, make it make sense.
Absolutely. and to piggyback what you're saying, I think that if nothing else happened during this pandemic, is that people are starting to learn what that purpose is. Because you're still here on earth when thousands and millions, of people die. Like,
right.
And it's more now than ever, going through this pandemic, having to be still.
Yeah.
I think that was definitely the message, to be still and to go within, because anxiety is now at a higher rate than ever.
Right.
People, of course we're going to live in fear if all we saw was how many people died, how many, the virus is now in Northern Virginia, and now it's coming to Richmond, and I'm not going outside. Like, how many months I stayed in the house. But we had to learn to do something different in order to survive this.
Right.
And then once you start to actually be still, you actually say, well, I'm still here. Why am I still here? Because you have a purpose, and understanding that you should be grateful for life. And maybe you want to start trying to walk in your purpose, because it's just a better life for you to find peace. Yeah. It's a better life for you to walk in your purpose than to fight against it. So I think that's why so many people now are trying to find that purpose. And in regards to life path numbers or zodiac, as you were speaking, of course, we weren't always taught that early on in life, especially us. In our community,
black people.
Black
people.
Okay,
it's an open bias. I promise. No. They, right. If you know, you know.
Right, especially black folk. Even my mom, I can remember her saying, that was of the devil. You shouldn't, don't put, God say he's a jealous God. Blah blah blah. No other gods before me. And but we were born at a certain time, and don't you find it strange that everybody that has this particular zodiac sign has some familiarity? Like, I know that, well, me personally, I've always been into astrology. Even before I even recognized my relationship with numbers, I wanted to know everybody's zodiac sign so I know how to deal with them. Because I'm not a person that want to be hateful or mean or nasty. Yeah. So if I can understand how you may think or feel about things, and that would tell me based off of your zodiac sign, then I know how to deal with you. Yeah. And then that way I try my best not to create any type of conflict.
If I can.
With
my space, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, like our mutual that we met, like Scorpio. Some people can get the misconception, they this, that, and I'm like, for you, and it also depends on your interaction with people. Like, I've had, and we talked about this a few days back, I brought this book up of what does your birthday mean about you. I'll never forget it. I worked for a company which will remain nameless, because I'm learning to do that now, because I almost said, wait, no, they ain't giving them press, and they ain't coming, I'm not getting sued. But I worked for them, and while I was working there, I came into work one day. I said, you know what, I'm feeling a little free today. I know it's just one of them days. I put down the book I was telling you, the color astrology book, and what does your birthday mean. A lot of people looked at the color astrology book. Okay, some of it's right. It ain't really to the T. Everybody who picked up the other book, what does your birthday mean, say about you? At least 90% of them, if not everybody, was like, that is literally me to a T. And I was just like, don't you? Nope. No, don't even worry about it. Just I'm gonna let it flow with it. Like, it was so bad with one of my friends who, me and him became friends from working where we were. He literally got the book and just started picking it up and just reading it and just showing it to everybody, because he would come around to him like, so what's your birthday?
Right.
And the thing is, what's interesting about that is, it's not that you're boxing the person based on, okay, I read this, so now this is what I think of you. It's like, this gives me a better insight. Like you said, it's like, all right, I know how to approach. If you're having these moments at this point, it's like, back off. It ain't that deep. Or
exactly,
maybe I need to tap in, because you are it's a brick wall. And it's even tougher when you meet people and it's the same birthday and you know and understand them. Like, there are 6 or 7 people that I personally know, when my birthday comes, we usually will reach out to each other, or it's, hey, everything good? Like, do you need to talk? Do you need to, because it's not, as much as we're trying to do it with other people, we're doing it on our own with the help of others as needed. We done spent 45 minutes on numbers.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't realize it just sitting there talking about it because I'm just like, all right. So I'm gonna let you pick with this one. Do you want to? Would you care to go into the Bible realm, or do you want to? Since we're doing numbers and astrology, do you want to bring up the crystals part of it in its integration, or?
With crystals, that's not my area of expertise.
Okay,
crystals.
I got you.
All right. Okay. So whatever you want to do.
All right. So I'll mini A Mike crystals a little bit, only because it's an interesting thing that I've observed. All right. So last year, I would say it wasn't too long after my birthday. Mm-hmm. Matter of fact, this is the perfect timeline. So my birthday comes. My cousin knew someone. They do readings. Mm-hmm. First time I ever got a reading. I think it was either the day of my birthday or the day after. We got back, we were coming back home. She was like, "Hey, I'm gonna connect you with this person. I'm gonna let her do a reading." Mm-hmm. I had someone else do a reading who I knew a little bit more, right. And they gave me it was both of them were unpacking. It was like, all right, you got work to do. Okay. So I gathered and gained a lot from it. The interesting part was, I was like, I've heard everyone talk about their moon, the sun, moon, and rising. Right. And when I used to hear it, I was like, I know I'm a Virgo. That's it. I don't know anything. And so I was like, okay, I need to find out what time I was born. So I'm sitting here as with anything, do your research. So I said, all right, let me go to records and get my stuff and find out what my everything was. So when I found out the time, everything opened up. So it was okay. I was a Virgo sun, Libra moon, Pisces rising. I think it's Virgo, Libra, Pisces, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
And so from the Virgo portion of it, I mainly, with me having just that information, that was my crystal foundation. Okay. So I went out uniquely enough with Sophia, who we talked about before. Mm-hmm. And I'm sorry I'll ask her if it's okay to use her name on the show. But we went out to eat, and after we left, I was like, let me take she's like, hey, let's go to the aquarium store, bookstore, and start figuring this out. So I knew when I went in, I was looking for these certain crystals because of what the Virgo crystals were that I was looking up online. And then I saw other ones, and then I saw people who, I was able to learn just breaking down, the chakras, the 7 chakras. So I learned about that, and knowing, I had a friend of mine who sold, a set. I don't have my whole set, even down to getting, selenite. Some people do bowls. I've had people say they use wooden bowls. I even had the breakdown of, some people will, place their crystals underwater every night. Right. I used to do that. And a lot of it is, and this is going to be a mixed emotion, so I don't want anybody to think that I'm on I know everything about crystals. Mm-hmm. Some of it's mind over matter. Mm-hmm. Because if you're strong enough, having those is just an added bonus. Right. I know with, on my desk, I used to keep, I ain't going to say I used to, I keep some empath crystals. I have a moonstone, which I think I have. Okay. I have a moonstone one that's a really nice crystal. And, I'll sit it on my desk, and every time I sit it there, for whatever reason, people know, all right, don't bother Brian. Right. Because it's just I'm chilling. I'm like, yes, I'm chilling. I'm good. Everything's great. Oh, okay. So
that's pretty.
Yeah. So I'll sit this one on my desk, and then I have another one that I'll keep on my desk. That's a lot of them are empath-based crystals. Yes. And then, I learned about the selenite for recharging. This is one that I use. So the two that I brought with me is interesting because I will meditate. I've meditated with these before. Mm-hmm. Never in my life. I've done meditation for almost over about 2 or 3 years. Mm-hmm. It was the first time in doing meditation that when I opened my hands, the crystals were it was warmth, and I was just
you felt it.
Yeah. So it's that's my journey and my conversation with crystals, like I said, I carry a good amount, but I'm not like one of those people that base crystals around like you have to get these. Like everyone, like some people, and this is just general know-how. Start like we said earlier, find your way to do it.
Yeah. I love crystals. I mean, I do. I don't know what was up with me and crystals. Like learning everything about them, it seemed to be so massive, and at the time, I just would not do the work to learn about crystals. And it's crazy because I used to have crystals and I gave them all away. But what's funny is one time, and I gave them away like because I was supposed to sell them, not my own personal crystals. Gotcha. Let me just clear that because you shouldn't really let other people touch your crystals. You shouldn't really let other people, because that's your energy in it, right? So, right. But I learned that a few years ago I did this young fella's hair, and I used to be a loctician, and so I'm transitioning. I'm no longer a loctician, but I did this guy's hair, and he had this beautiful crystal. Did he have it on him? I don't know how I knew he had this crystal, but I was like, I love your crystal. And I said, can I have it? And he was like, no. He said he made crystals. That's what happened. He said he made crystals. I was like, oh my gosh, I need you to make me one. This is when I first was getting into crystals. I'm like, I need you to make me one for anxiety. I always want a crystal for anxiety, right? That's the first thing I go to. And he was just like, okay, I can do it. He was like, yeah, I have one that's on me now. And I'm like, oh, can I have it? And he was like, you don't supposed to have it. And I just kept offering him more money. And so finally he let me have the crystal. Well, if I knew now what I knew then, I wouldn't have taken it. But, the great thing about it was that his energy was beautiful. Yeah. You know what I mean? But when I put the crystal on, and it was a rose quartz. Yeah. And, I just started instantly feeling love and comfort and things of that nature. And I'm like, oh, this really works. Yeah. And I'm pretty sure it worked because he put so much of his positive energy in it. And I know he was doing rituals and things of that nature. So I'm pretty sure that's why it worked for me. But we do know that under each full moon and or new moon that we should cleanse our crystals. But I had to learn that later on. But
yeah, I've gotten that lesson a couple times. Because I think one night, I don't know if it was a pink moon. Uh-huh. It was one of the recent moons that when the full moon showed. And I went outside, I took my bag, I took all my, I was like, we doing a session today. Yeah. And, I asked, my friends they were like, hey, I'm going to be out in support. I was like, all right, I want to come out here. It's fine. But I'm just sitting under the moon. It's nothing. Not to be funny, ta-da, this is it.
Right. But if you went under the pink moon, which was a super moon, and those moons are really huge, and it's just amazing to me that all the super moons, how close they are to Earth, and how really massive and big they are. So that energy, and the super moon, I think the pink moon, if I'm not mistaken, was when we was having Mercury retrograde. Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we needed all the peace that we. And that's
a whole nother unpack on its own of just learning retrograde, knowing how to deal with retrograde, not giving. And the hardest thing about, and this is probably an early gem that I'm gonna share. It's hard to not give something energy that already has energy. So a lot of people give Mercury retrograde or Saturn retrograde like a lot of, oh my God, we're in Mercury retrograde, the world, and I'm like, first of all, you still got to operate, you still got to move, you still got to go through emotions, so you can't give that the weight that it doesn't deserve. But a lot of times, once we've done that, it's like we're now having to unlearn it. Right. So going through that adjustment, that's been huge. And like I said, you mentioned it earlier. I am not an expert with crystals to that extreme, but I just know. And it was funny because a couple weeks ago, I think it was around the time I was like, yeah, I just it had already been a year since I had graduated from school, but they had just sent my diploma. Mm-hmm. So when I was like, man, I don't know if I want to post this diploma. I already done finished school. So a lot of people they were like, oh, congratulations. Right. Everybody's noticing. And I was telling people keep in mind this diploma was from last year. So one girl comments and she was like, where'd you get that crystal from? And I was like, you're the only person that noticed that. And it was this crystal.
It was a crystal beside yours.
Yeah. So it was just, I I was like, I said somebody's gonna pick up on this. So me and her had a conversation, and I was explaining crystals to her, and she was like, "Yeah, I'm not sure. How do I start?" And I was like, "Go in the aquarium bookstore,
right?
Find what gravitates you, because like even one of the young ladies who came to the meditation event, like we were talking after we did that, and she was like, "Yeah, I got this crystal. It dropped, it broke." It was like. She was like, "Well, what do I do with it?" She asked Maisha, who we were talking about before, saying like, let it go.
Let it go because it's not meant to be in your life,
right?
Yeah.
So it's those moments and those teachable pieces of like knowing how to handle it, and again, like it's not like you got to sit down here like and I've seen people do it, like they break out a whole bat. Yeah, I'm like, this is not. It's okay, we get it.
Right.
It's levels and it's lines. The Bible and the religion.
Yes, that part.
Because I don't want to slow walk it, but I also know we need to talk about it because it's a thing. It's something that needs to get the attention, and I'm gonna let you lead with this only because, to give my brief backstory, I'm a member of a church. I've been connected with them. We're looking at least 20 years, if not longer.
Right.
I've gained a lot of knowledge. I've gained a lot of foundation. I just got a different path, and it just ain't my thing.
All right. So yeah, this part right here, it's something that I'm gonna tread lightly, only because I was also raised in a church.
Yeah.
And I still will go, like I said, I go on live sometimes or look for live pastors and whatnot just to get some inspiration, because we all need inspiration regardless of which way it comes, right? Yeah. But I do remember times where even the church that I was raised in, and we were in church 3 times a week. Okay, we was
just 3?
Church. Yeah,
just 3.
Oh look, you said just 3.
Just 3.
I was in the choir. I did a little bit of ushering. Of course, it was the Girl Scouts. My mother was in the choir, and then we had Wednesdays. That good old Wednesday. But so it's a lot of things in the Bible though that we often rely on our pastor too much. That's what I think. Okay. I think that we rely on our pastor too much, and what he say is what we say. And, even though you may do some daily scriptures, because what my mom used to make me do when I was younger was pick up the Bible every night, and we used to read a scripture. But I don't know how she picked the scripture. I think it was a thing called a daily word, actually. I think it was something called the daily word. But it's a lot of scriptures in the Bible that we don't even know about or we haven't read. I don't recall reading them as I was growing up. And if I did, I didn't have an understanding that it was okay to use crystals or, talk about meditation or even more. I just learned, and this is something I just learned last night, so I don't really feel, like I should talk about it, but I am going to mention it.
Okay.
And that is about rituals in the Bible. So somebody sent me a book about it, like an online book, or however you call it, a PDF or whatever, about rituals. But when I say that meditation, the first thing when I ask people, do they meditate? They're like, I don't know, like it opened up room for spirits and, that's, of the devil and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, spirits are around you regardless. Yes. Yeah. It doesn't matter if you open up to it or not.
Right.
Spirits are around you. But the even further, to go even further, then you're talking about Bible scriptures that support meditation. And I'm just gonna go ahead and just spit the first scripture out. I don't know if I should say spit, but
we're going to share the first verse that relates to this.
Yes, thank you.
I got you.
We're going to share the first verse. It's in Genesis, okay? And Genesis 24:63. He went out to the field one evening to meditate, and he looked up. He saw camels approaching. Now, why I love the scripture so much, and when they say he's talking about Abraham. Why I love the scripture so much is because when we had that meditation in the park, when we came out of meditation, or even during the meditation, you heard the birds chirping, You felt the wind gusting.
Yeah.
Like nature was in tune with us during the meditation. How can that be of evil? Yeah. Like that was of God. Yeah. That was of love and that was of peace. And how in tune we are to nature. And so that's why I love the scripture so much. He saw the camels approaching, because when I went out to the park one time and I did meditation, when I came back to be aware of myself, all the ducks at the park were around me.
Wow.
So yeah. So yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I got to slow walk this, but I also need to talk about it because it's time to So, number one, which is not related to this a little bit, but it's related. Mm-hmm. Everything's been about my goal or theme. Why podcasting has been bigger for me this year is working on releasing and opening the throat chakra. Yes. I think we've talked about that before.
Right.
And so, whenever these type of conversations come up, I'm the one that's like, hey, let's talk about it. Let's really get into it. And then folks are like, no, I don't want to really get into it. And I'm just like, then why bring it up? But that's neither here nor there. And again, it's not to take any discredit on which path or which direction you're coming into what you're doing. Meditation equals prayer.
Absolutely.
I don't know how else to put it. I don't know where else to really steer that or make it make sense. That's literally, they're one and the same.
Absolutely.
It's a quiet time. It's a quiet space. It's a quiet space for you, because a lot of people, I mean, let's call it what it is. When most kids were younger or are younger, or when people, even as adults, if you're praying, sometimes you're going off course. If you're talking, even if it's you having an authentic prayer with God, that's one thing. But even in church, like when a pastor is talking or giving a prayer, you're going to be listening to what he's saying, but you're also going to be thinking about other things, because our brain is the brain. Like, it's neurological. You can't undo it unless your brain is just not in a place or space to function.
Yes.
Cool. That's number one. Number two. Probably number three. I didn't say some of this stuff. I've noticed that more things lately have separated people that should not separate folks. And it's so bad, because like I watched a video on TikTok before I even got here, and it also came up in the message. We've lost the ability to be kind to people, and it's so bad to me because I never paid it any attention when I first was like. If you go back and look at all my old posts on Instagram, a lot of it was alcohol, just the kickback routine things of just basic stuff. I was like, I can have fun and post those things, but I'm also like, feed people. People need to get good food. They need to get good messages. And that's what I've lately learned to make the value of social media. And added part to that is, sometimes the best inspiration comes from places you least expect, outside of a Bible. Like, and I'm like, don't get me wrong. Like, anyone who knows me knows, like we talked about it earlier with being in the numbers.
Right.
3 is my favorite. 3 has uniquely been a number that I'm attached to. Wow. But then it's a 2% factor, because I'm a fan. Whenever if I watch TV, don't ask how this works. I will turn the volume has to be on an even number. Haven't figured out.
Oh, wow.
It's a thing with me. Like, if I'm watching, there's certain TVs you can't control it. Like, if it's just adjusting the volume, you don't see the volume on there. But if it's like ones that got actual numbers, and it'll be like 5, no, it got to be the 4 or 6. I can't.
Really?
It's a thing. It's been something that started with me as a kid. But 3, like most tattoos,
it's 3.
It's 3.
Okay.
I never paid it. Didn't look at that and think about it as a thing. So, tying it back to numerology, I'm reverting that and referencing it with the Bible, because one of my verses or one of my messages, which I have my dad's birthday, 5/21, but one of the verses is Ecclesiastes chapter 3.
Okay.
I don't know all of it word for word. I think it's verses 1 through 8, but it is, there's a time for everything and everything has its time. And it breaks down everything that there's a time for. And sometimes we don't understand there are times and places to do things, but because we get so, and I want to make sure I say this, the Bible in its entirety has its benefit of a overall understanding. The challenge becomes, which is what a lot of people do within the religion that I have a battle of, is they pick these certain messages and it's like, you got just this part. Can we get everything around that? Like, give me the whole and I think because I've turned into that person of research, I want to make it where, hey, wrap it, like put it together. If you're gonna give somebody a gift, I would rather get the full gift. Don't give me half of the gift.
Yes.
Because it would be like, hey, I bought you this basketball as a gift, but you're only gonna get the deflated basketball. You're not gonna get air in it. You gotta find your own air.
Right.
Same thing. It's the same thing with getting the message. And I think sometimes it's tough because you're trying to make sure you're going about receiving it. Like, I'm clear in saying this because, like, a friend of mine, like I said, we bumped heads on this from time to time, and I've been like, let's openly discuss it. And it's like, I don't want to talk about it. I'm like, okay. And back in my head, I'm like, don't bring it up anymore. But for everyone, it's different. So I know I'm like on a tangent about that, but I want us as people in, within the belief or on our own walk to understand, all aspects of it. And I think that's the biggest battle that I run into from the biblical and or religious side. Like, I've even had a friend of mine who I love going and she does rooms on Clubhouse, and she always talks about, she brings up these conversations about the religious cults. And I was like, I didn't realize, like, I knew somewhat about it, but and if they hear this story, whatever, I'm not even concerned. Learning this, I learned this the hard way with doing it. Like I think we talked about it before on our pre-pod episode of doing a site, and something as simple as, you did a nice job. No, hey, you messed up and you made a mistake. It's like, oh, I can't be human today.
Right.
Okay, cool. I'm glad to know. At least I'll keep that in mind. Thank you for the
right.
But you learn things without learning things, and I know it's like I said, we're kind of going biblical, religious, church, all that. But you learn things over time, and you least expect it. So I know I went different directions with that. But.
No, but when you said the separation of churches, and it's unfortunate, like, we all do have the same goal, and that's to ascend ultimately and to spread peace and love. Right. But sometimes we get into these battles with one another that we're not doing that. We're doing the total opposite. And I told you of a time that I went into somebody's live, and they started talking about, they were attacking me personally, about energy. And in regards to energy, like, energy is real. I don't care what you believe. Like, I can prove energy right now.
No, we prove energy right now.
You know what I'm saying?
There's energy.
Right. So
y'all didn't see it, but if you turn the light off and you turn it back on, that's energy.
It is.
Say what you want. But
and energy, and it's an empath. And I noticed you used the word empath a couple of times during this podcast. And everybody I'm sure your listeners know what an empath is.
If they don't, let's give them knowledge, because we don't want to. One of the 4 agreements: don't make assumptions, right, because everyone doesn't know. So that you're welcome to give them the light of the empath. Okay, so an empath is a person who's sensitive to other people's feelings, and actually it can go further. Like, okay, so an empath is a person who. Let me start over. Empath is a person. Yeah, because this is my lane. I'm B-micing on this one. All right, so empath is a person who can feel other people's emotions. That's a better definition. And when you are an empath and you don't know it, you actually think that, I'm depressed, you're stressed, you don't understand why. I would say most empaths definitely carry the weight of the world on our shoulder. 1,000%. And people tend to call us stupid, too giving, too caring, we're too nice. And I used to get bothered by, what is too nice? Well, now I understand what too nice is, but an empath will give you the shirt off of their back to make sure that you're happy or that you're comfortable. Even and this is not good for an empath, but even if they're uncomfortable, they will make sure you're uncomfortable. So an empath definitely is the person who can feel other people's emotions, and they have a hard time knowing where that person's emotions stop and theirs begin. Yep. So that's what an empath is. Now,
when you realize that you are an empath, you may understand what type of empath you are and all the clairs. And to be quite honest, I don't specifically know the names of all the clairs, but I know that you can, it's just having a sixth sense. You can either see things, you can hear things, you can feel things, or you can smell things even. So, and then most empaths find out that they're light workers. You know, light workers.
Unpack that, because I have someone who I've talked to about addressing this, and they are really in a position where they're finally beginning to see that.
Yes. So a light worker, before, I want to say it was maybe about 1960. I'm thinking about that year, 1960, that when the world was already, the earth was already in a, you know, having chaos and all the things that was happening here. Just with, you know, the sun child, and you know, what is that thing that they had with the people dancing in the park?
It's not miming. It's not anything of that sort. It's a certain type of dance. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Well, during that time when we really was looking for peace on earth, we light workers, I'm gonna say light workers, came to earth to bring light to earth and to heal people. You know, you can heal people via talking as you and I are doing now. You can heal people through music. You can even send good energy to people to heal them. But the purpose of a light worker is definitely to shed light in a time of darkness. And it's so many people that was born to do that. So you have a better definition of a light worker?
I do.
Okay.
I got you. No, I got you. Because I know I threw you on the ledge. My bad. Hey, one thing about, again, unorthodox podcast, you get these risky moments where it's like, hey, it just happened. Yes. So I'm going to backtrack real quick and add to what you said about empaths, because it's something important that empaths have to remember, and I'm still learning this lately. Okay. Empaths are batteries, meaning that sometimes, and when I say batteries, they can sometimes be just a natural, the battery dies, we done with it. Right. Or it's, hey, I'm a rechargeable battery. Yes. I need a moment. I love y'all, but I need a break. Right. A few years ago, I had to get into a space of realizing, because I did, like I said, I did the personality test for years, easily introvert, hide me away. I don't want to see nobody. I don't want to talk. Now, podcasting, blogging, creative, I'm an extrovert. So I was like, all right, cool, I'm talking. So now I've learned I'm an ambivert. So I have a mixture of both. But when the people sense with empaths, it's like, it's a term that I use. My friend hates me for saying it, but she loves it because it applies to life. Here where we are right now, you can do it, but it's a little different. Reading the room. Right. The easiest place to do it in a 2% example is like if you go out to a bar. You're in a bar, you have to read the room. Right. Some people go to bars and don't read the room. So when they come in, they're like trying to analyze it. I'm like, don't analyze. Read the room. Just pay attention to who's around, who's going to act a plum fool, where the bathroom is, where the exit is, where the other exit is. True. That's reading the room. Some people can do it, and some people don't. Like, for instance, with me, and this is a guilty habit, like where we're sitting now, even if I had sat on that side, it wouldn't have been a big deal. But normally, anytime I get rooms, I'm always sitting to see everything that's going on, because I'm looking like, who's this and what you need? What is it? Oh, it's over. Okay, all right. So it's those things that is a habit of just doing it. Tying it into the light worker, let me see if because they put like a semi-term. Light workers, of course, the one that I go to gives like a funny. In summary, light workers are awakened beings who bear the highest interest of all living beings and Earth in their minds. Okay, I like that. Yeah, so that, I mean, and that's a tie-in of where you're coming from with it, because sometimes people are put on Earth to bring things to other people's attention, but by bringing so many things to everybody else's attention, you take the attention off yourself. Yeah. Yeah. It can be that's right. Where as I've called it, and I think this is a blog I did like maybe a year or so ago. We drive the car. We see the check engine light. Mm-hmm. We ignore the check engine light because we like, I just got to get where I need to go. Right. But eventually the check engine light is reminding you something is coming up and you're not acknowledging it. So yes. I'm not working. Yeah. And that's how we are as people. We sometimes forget that.
And the light worker can often it's uncomfortable to be around a light worker if you're not ready to heal.
Right.
If you're not ready to heal, it's uncomfortable to be around a light worker because for some reason a light worker would trigger you without even knowing that even before they even realize they light workers. Mm-hmm. All my life, I think, like, I haven't been acting in my light worker capacity because I've been very negative. However, I've always triggered people. I've always had this intuition. First of all, let's talk about can we talk about intuition for a second?
Yeah, absolutely.
I've always had this intuition, not even knowing how powerful it was. This gift, not even knowing how powerful it was. I specifically remember on several occasions, especially with my boyfriends, because I've had a lot, to say that, I'm telling them, don't go out the house today. You need to stay in the house today. Not knowing why. Mm-hmm. But of course, you crazy. I ain't listening to you.
Right.
And every time they went against what I, felt, it became something so massive, life-changing for them. And I didn't know how I knew it, but I just knew not to do certain things. And God will put that, and yes, God put that in, God put that in your heart to know,
no. We're not like, to be clear, no, God, we're not joking about what you do.
Right. Yeah.
I know a lot, and I think that's to tie into that. Yes. I've realized people get too serious with God. Right. And when I say that, I mean it as, it's like, we want to sit in the perfect position. Right. I want to have my legs together. God, I come to you right now, and I'm not. Sometimes it's, look, God, we got some talking to do.
Right.
And I think people don't know that it's okay to talk like that.
It is.
To God, or just even to people. And I think we miss that. But yeah, as far as the intuition goes, intuition is very key because I'm in that same boat. I've done it. I've seen things, and I'll say, you might want to keep it. And I'm like, I can't say anymore because if I do and it happens, I got to live with it.
Right.
And then it's bad because when the other side of it happens, you don't want to sit there and be like, I told you so. But then you're just like, the wet paint. I used this analogy with somebody before, and they thought I was crazy because I said it's the wet paint theory. It's like, what you mean? If I put a wet paint sign on this wall and it's wet paint, and another person comes along and touches the wall, why be mad at the other two who didn't touch the wall? We saw the sign, you didn't see the sign.
Right.
But you chose to ignore the sign, whatever the case may be.
Right.
And that's what intuition, like, that's literally the easiest way that I've found to describe intuition.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't cut off what you said. I just want to make sure, because I'm certain moments or certain conversations will get me into that, like, let's really go over this for a second, because people need to be. I think people are. It goes back to the fear of the unknown. If it goes back to I know it's safe and I know it's comfortable. Mm-hmm. And for me, I think I've written a blog about this, the rigidness. Some of us are so rigid, complacent. We're like, I am used to what I'm doing, and I don't want to do anything different. And if you do something different, it's like it's the end of the world. It's like, no, you can be a little uncomfortable.
It's going to come a time. Listen, the age of Aquarius is here, okay? Yeah. And it's going to come a time, I don't care, in everybody's life, you're going to have a choice to make. And I truly believe this. Okay, so let's go back to December the 21st. I don't know if you remember, but December the 21st, 2020.
That was supposed to be the day we got our superpowers.
Exactly.
And everybody was like, I didn't get any superpowers. It was like, maybe you got them and just don't know what to do with them yet.
Exactly. And that's so true because we are moving, we're evolving as a planet from 3D going into 4D, going into 5D. And dimensions, that is, and things aren't the same. And after December the 21st, a lot of people, power did get activated. Well, power or gifts, I would say spiritual gifts. Yeah. They were activated. Right. I know mine were.
I think mine started to mine were making appearances, because I know for me, it was Kobe passed January of last year. Mm-hmm. I'd say by the middle, near the late of last year, I was like, I need to get this. I want to get a mama mentality sign. So I got the sign, bought a frame, put it on the wall. All right, best version of myself. Cool. Friend of mine I talked to her. I was like, yeah, I want to get she was like, I'm going to make another, remake your sign. And if you want to do anything with the other one. So I gave the other one, I gifted it to somebody else. But now I put the new one up, and it's just how life moves you. It's like, okay, I've got my little setup because I had put like a desk in my, like I don't know if you might have seen it. The last picture that I put where I did like an overhead view and I started, don't
yellow, and it was like yellow.
Yeah, the color thing, that's probably going to be a new thing that I'm going to try out because I'm just like, I don't know. It's just been fun. Like a friend of mine, I think, I took a picture of my desk and it just happened to come at a good angle. I was like, that's where I'm at most of the time. Mm-hmm. And so it's hard to see it, but you see the desk and then right above it is the sign.
Right.
And then I got all my inspiration on this side. Mm-hmm. But I say that because I needed that to be where it is, because now if I'm, all right, I need to be the best version of me. Let me focus on that. Right. And that was those points of learning, like every day we're going to get up, we don't want to do it, but we also got to still give our best effort, because if we don't, early message, if we don't give our best effort to ourselves, we can't give it to anybody else.
Absolutely.
So.
Right.
Yeah, no, like, it's people, like, December 21st happened. Folks took it for what it was, but then everybody, because of all that's going on in the world,
right.
Bob Marley, rest in peace, so much trouble in the world, it just became a thing. Right. So, we're going to close here.
Okay.
Unless you have more you want to share.
No.
Because I know we've had, this, because we can sit here, I mean, it's 1 for 3. But,
yeah.
But I'm glad that we were able to get a few thoughts out. Like I said, I think, and I always tell you as I tell everybody else, do not make this a one-time appearance. Please come back.
Okay.
It's just something that's valued. Before we close, I always like to give my wrap up. Okay. And as I tell people, obviously the podcast is called The Pass. I'll share this story because you may or may not know this. Okay. So the title of when I initially did my podcast, it was called Brate Podcast. It was too long. It was whatever. And so I said, let me cut it down to The Pass, or Pass Podcast. Pass stood for podcast about sports and stuff. Mm-hmm. Obviously, we're not talking sports. I'm okay with that because I'm really not missing anything right now. I think if things go as planned, by the time I come back to doing my sports, we'll have a champion for basketball, and that'll probably be all I talk about. But anyway, the stuff is where I'm at. But the title of the reference of the name, I used to do what was called an ass of the week. So it was somebody who did something stupid, and it's like, oh, okay, big deal, whatever. As and this was actually one of my first times I was having a guest at that time. I had somebody come on. They were doing, it was for a guy to be in a hair salon. That was a unique experience to talk podcasting. Okay. Because I was able to learn the salon life. I thought the barber life was crazy. I think I said it during their show, but if I didn't, I'm gonna say it now. Barber life is who's the best basketball player. Salon life is who did what, when, where, and why they ain't shit.
Right. Yeah.
Like it's tea. It's like you got tea without tea. Right. And I'm like, wait, how is that possible? But they do it. Yeah. But I did, when I had them on as a guest, I started that trend then, and I've stuck to it as a constant theme, and I love it, which is called Pass the Message. So like I told you before the recording, any message that you want to pass along, something that can be a gift that they can walk away with and saying, this is something that's going to help you become a better you today, tomorrow, or it can be about whatever we talked about already. It could be about life. It could be, Brian, get off the show. Don't ever record again. It's your space to share that.
All right. Well, I do want to say this is something that I constantly try to instill in my son, and that's, do not compare yourself to other people. Everybody has their own path. Everybody has their own strengths and weaknesses. And just because somebody may be appears to be ahead of you in some areas, it's just not your time, and your time is coming. And when we compare ourselves to other people, what we're doing is suicide. It's emotional suicide. It's just goals. Like, if you have your goals, to keep your eyes on your goals and don't worry about what everybody else is doing, unless you're a part of a team. But other than that, like, do not compare yourself to other people. And that's what I would like to share.
It's a good one. I like that. I got to follow that. Great. No pressure. and you know I'm long with it, so it's gonna be fun. This again, that's a solid message. Stay in your lane. As an added bonus to what you just said, eat your own food. Don't try to eat everybody else's food. That's like I think I talked about. I don't know if I think I had that as a conversation or I addressed it where it's like for whatever reason, you know, it was a TikTok video because I was learning why I play basketball from time to time. They use this term in basketball where they say don't play with your food, which means if you're dribbling too much, you lose the ball. It's like you play with your food, and we do that in life sometimes. But we're so busy looking at everybody's social media is their own plate. Right. And ain't no benefit in looking at their plate if you're not eating on your own plate. Because then you're not giving your plate the attention it deserves. Right. I'm going to swing around to something that somebody had a conversation with me about. And it made me really understand where my message is going to hit. Not to overpower what you gave. Because that's a solid message. I hope I already said it. One, thank you for coming. I appreciate you being on the show. I genuinely valued like this type of a conversation because it's like you would never expect that we were like an hour and 25 minutes into a show. No. It never, and that's why I like doing these type of shows because when I can remember when we were sitting in another room when we were talking about it, and you're like, I don't know how this is, and I'm like, it's gonna be fine. I know I sound crazy in saying it, but trust me, it'll be fine. Right. And like I said, the challenge becomes the before and the after. Absolutely. You know what I mean? Like once you hit record, that's it. Like right. you can change. I mean, you can change and alter things as needed, but the basis of it, it's all the same.
Absolutely. And thank you for having me.
Oh yeah, absolutely. No, I value it big time. My message that I'm gonna pass that I still haven't said because I'm just it's me being delayed. Is a friend of mine had a conversation with me because he lost someone who was close to him. Not long after, I lost someone who was close to me. That, I won't say that was our trauma bond, but that was the thing that kept us really like to be more accountable with each other. Like, hey, you good? Like we really checked in with each other more frequently because of that. Yes. He had he reached out to me and we just had like a basic conversation talking about a few things. And he was reminiscing, thinking about his friend and thinking about just, you know, he had a lot of stuff that he was holding on to from way back. Mm-hmm. And I was talking to him and when he said it, he sent that and it brought a message to me that I'm going to share with you all. Him telling me everything I said, I know I'm not there. No, I'm sorry. You telling me that reminding me that I need to clean up and make space for me. And that's not just in the physical sense of items, like physical items and things, you want to make space and clean up for them by far. Because you don't want to, it's no, bringing new things into a home when you have old things you need to get rid of doesn't help the process. Right. So sometimes you need to get rid of things to make space for better things. Yes. And that sometimes can include people. Right. And it can be hard and it can hurt. But we have to do it and know that we can be okay with doing it. And that's the biggest learning curve that I, like when I had that convo with him, it was like it made me look at my space and I was like, I need to get rid of some stuff. Yes. Because we hold on, because our natural habit, we hold on, it's sentimental to me. Right. But yeah, just if it's things that, if they are not of benefit and you can let them go, let them go. Let it go, let it go, let it go, let it go. In the words of Erykah Badu, let it go. Yes. Social plugs. Please share where we can follow you at, where your info is. Okay, so I'm on Instagram at The Soul Connection, and that's DASOULCONNECTION. Okay. And I'm also on YouTube, and I really want to tell you guys to follow me on YouTube. And it's also, it's actually Amanda Love, AMANDA space LUV. And so that's pretty much it. Facebook, I'm under Amanda Lovelocks Alexander, and I still haven't changed that.
But that's my name on Facebook. And that's it for me.
I'll drop links in the show notes. And also, what was I about to say? I had something good. Oh, please. I was like, it was a reason come in my head. She just did it's a solid 10-minute video. It's an intro build up, but it's about 11 minutes of a guided meditation. Very helpful. It's free.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've had a chance to yet. Did you look at the spiritual one that I sent you yet?
The one,
the 24 minutes?
No, I have not, because I need to be in the right space ready for that.
Fair
one.
enough.
Yeah.
I'll share that link with everyone in the show notes. That is, I tell everyone that is probably the one meditation you do it, you're going to want to find time to do it because it's very resourceful. I gave someone, I don't want to say it as an assignment. I presented a task to them to try that meditation to connect with the spirit. And I'm going to see how that, I'll look forward to feedback about that on Monday, hopefully. So we'll see. But again, thanks for being on.
Thank you for having me.
All right, no problem. Like I said, this is a fun show.
It was.
We're gonna do this again soon, maybe. Like I said, like I told y'all already, next week I'll be at BlurredCon in it's either Alexandria or Arlington. I forgot. I think it's in Alexandria. Excuse me. Kicking it with the crew, and we'll probably be back to sports. Maybe in August, I don't know. I'm just kind of going with the flow of where life is taking me. So that's what I'm beginning to learn as a thing. But until next time, y'all take it easy. We're signing out.